Hi everyone, welcome to Good for the Game TV, where we aim to turn your sporting knowledge into profits. Good of you to join me, Brent Graham, here for what is my third consecutive show. It's been a busy Thursday night. We had GG Gaming gone mad. Gary Lenton, he was in fine form giving away specials and promotions, and the guys on the live show really responded to that. But if you missed it, you can still catch the show on our YouTube page. As you can, our flagship rugby show, The Handicap. I had Hendrik Swart, Couch Critic, and Oracle Rugby on the show, and hopefully we found some betting value for you there. It was certainly good to talk rugby betting. But time now to turn our attention to soccer. We've got an English Premier League and the PSL. They're both back after international breaks. And joining me to talk about them, it's the man at Good for the Game, Chris Sturdy. He's at Good for the Game on Twitter. He's Macam on the Good for the Game forum. And quite frankly, this guy writes many a preview, and he loves his football. Good to have you on the show, Chris.
Hey, Ben, yeah, thanks very much. A marathon shift for you, hey, after the GG Gaming and the handicap show as well, and all good stuff. And anyone that missed that, we've got recordings up on Good for the Game site as well as our YouTube homepage, yeah.
Excellent. And the GG Gaming specials are also up on the Good for the Game page, because some people have said if they can put it up after the show just so that they can get a good chance to have a look at it. But Chris, let's get into the football, because we'll start off with the English Premier League. It's back after the international break. We've got a full house. We've got 7 fixtures on Saturday, 2 on Sunday, and then we've got 1 on Monday night as well. And we don't waste any time getting into the big game, do we? We've got Spurs up against Liverpool, and that's the early kickoff on Saturday.
Yeah, pick of the weekend's matches, and it's first up. Shame, really, that it's early kickoff and first game back after an international break. And already team news coming through, Dele Alli missing for Spurs, and also the keeper, Lloris, as well. And I would imagine that money's coming for Liverpool on the back of that information.
Yeah, there has been plenty of, I was looking at it earlier in the week. I quite fancied the Liverpool 14-10. And Gary on his show was saying now into 12-10. I'll just have a look at WSP's website. Yeah, they've shortened. They were 14-10 at WSP and now 5-4. And the money has come for Liverpool. But I know, like Gavin Cohen was saying, he can't have Liverpool on the road against Spurs at that price.
Yeah, it's the biggest test of the season so far for Liverpool, even though Spurs might be a little bit under strength. I actually went for the draw. This was before I knew that Lloris and Dele Alli were out. But I thought, I always reckon with the top 6 sides when they're meeting each other, the draw's often a runner. And Spurs, they didn't lose many at Wembley last season. Liverpool, yeah, big test for them. They've done nothing wrong. They're flying high, top of the league. I think they've only conceded 1 goal. Maybe with the team news, you would edge towards Liverpool, but I think I'll stick with a draw around 5-2. I think I'll get a run for my money with that.
Yeah, and you'll get probably a bit of a bigger price now with that team news. It's drifted out with Liverpool coming in. They've actually probably kept Spurs fairly stable and pushed the draw out a little bit to 27-10. So it could be quite a nice price about that one. Moving on to the next match on the agenda, that's kicking off with 5 other games. It's Newcastle United up against Arsenal. Both Newcastle probably struggling a little bit. Arsenal have got back on track after a slow start. You've got 9-10 the Gunners and 3-1 Newcastle at home.
Yeah, Newcastle struggling, as you said. Arsenal, yeah, they won a couple of games after losing their first 2. They won the next 2. Still not overly convinced by them, though. Very much work in progress. I think goals, because Arsenal, I think they've got goals in them. They've got the capacity to concede. But I think over 2.5 goals was maybe, short. 7-10, something like that. Yeah, both teams to score, I guess, with Arsenal is also an option as well. But yeah, a tough one, Brent. I wouldn't be rushing in to take Arsenal at odds on.
I certainly wouldn't either. Just to give you a couple of quotes here, because these games are 7-10 over 2.5, which might be tempting. But there's also, if you are prepared to take a chance on the over 3.5 goals, then you start getting up to prices close to the 2-1 mark. You've got sort of 33-20. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating with 2-1, but you've got 33-20, and both teams to score probably predictably quite short at 13-20. But from what I'm hearing from you, Chris, not really a game you're rushing to get involved in from a punting perspective.
No, I still think the jury's out a little bit on Arsenal. They're going to be work in progress for much of this season. But yeah, they've got the firepower, but they're always likely to concede. Whether Newcastle take advantage of that, I'm not sure. Remember Newcastle against Chelsea about 2 or 3 weeks back? It was like the Great Wall of Newcastle, and you cross the halfway line. When you shake a double six, that was their sort of mentality, really, and they nearly held out for a draw. So, how will they play it? I'm not sure, but one to watch, but maybe not to have the housekeeping on.
Well, Hein Dumont has joined us, Kart Critic. He was with us on the rugby show. He's a bit of a Gunners fan, so maybe take this at face value. But he says Arsenal to win and Arsenal to win and both teams to score. But potentially that could be a bit like me tipping Watford later in the show to continue their 100% record. Well, let's move on, Chris. We've got Bournemouth up against Leicester now. I don't know if you got to watch the GG Gaming Gone Mad show, but Gary Lenton, he's made a bet in this game as part of his what he calls a certainty treble. And there was a nice little promo for some of the guys watching live. And he's gone over 2.5 goals here. I think it's priced at about 4 to 6. Just to give you the outright betting here, Chris, we've got Bournemouth at 14 to 10, just under 5 to 2 the draw, and 2 to 1 Leicester.
Yeah, look, Gary's obviously very confident because he's picked out quite a fairly obscure game when you look at the coupon. I don't know, man. It wouldn't surprise me. I'd go 2 to 3 goals in total. Leicester games, 2 to 3 goals in total. It's got a great track record. And I could be wrong here, but I think Bournemouth as well, often a runner in 2 to 3 goals in total. And this season, that bet's been good, usually around 9 to 10, 19 to 20, just the wrong side of even money. That would be more my idea of the outcome here. So, yeah, hopefully for Gary and the punters that are on his promo, it'll be 3 goals.
Yeah, that's it. Funny enough, the way we've structured the promo, I've got a feeling the punters might be pulling against Gary, but we'll see what happens. It depends if they follow him, because on that particular promo, if his treble misses, they get R1,000 free bet. So, yeah, interesting to see how the guys play that one. Chelsea up against Cardiff. Cardiff, Chris, have yet to score a goal on the road this season. They're a massive price at 15 to 1. Chelsea, obviously very short at under 1 to 5, at 2 to 11 on the WSB website, and you can get 11 to 2 the draw. I'm guessing if you've got anything for us here, it's going to be on the exotic front, not on the outright markets.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe the only word of warning might be with all these Chelsea players that have been far and wide in international football, maybe there might be a knock-on effect from that. Cardiff, I think they got 2 goals against Arsenal the other week. They lost 3-2 at home. But as you say, they haven't scored away from home, and they don't really seem to carry much threat either. Chelsea clean sheet, I would imagine that's probably short as well. Eden Hazard, first goal scorer, takes penalties. That might be satisfy the betting interest there.
Yeah, that will satisfy. I'm not sure. I should imagine what you get to maybe somewhere around the 5 to 2 mark. Would I be wrong? It's not a market I know very well.
Yeah, probably. It's not one that I looked at, in all honesty, Brent. But when you've got those 1 to 5 prices and things like that, and as I say, a Chelsea clean sheet's probably deep in the red as well. You're forced into your goal scorer bets and things like that. Not one to get too heavily involved in.
Well, the good news is there is betting out on it. I can tell you I wasn't far off the mark. I just quickly popped onto WSB. Eden Hazard first goal scorer 27 to 10. And as a matter of interest, if you are a more conservative punter, you can get 15 to 20 about him scoring any time in this game. So that's another angle that you might consider taking. Let's move on, though, to the next game. Huddersfield up against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace let me down a couple of weeks ago, well, just before they went on the international breakout. I think they had some injury news in the camp. I backed them at even money. They started at 15 to 10 against Southampton, and they duly lost the game at home. And now away to a Huddersfield side that looks, Chris, like they're in for a long, hard slog this season.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on what you say about Huddersfield. Palace... If it hadn't been that they'd let us down the other week, Brent, then I would say Palace. But because we both fancied them at home to Southampton, hey? Yes. Southampton had been struggling. I think it was Zaha that was the man that was out, and that was the drift in the price as we picked up afterwards, only after the money was down. So yeah, Palace draw no bet. Is there maybe something there? Again, I'm just like once bitten, twice shy with these guys, because they really ought to have put Southampton away a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, not a bet I'm going to get too involved in from a betting perspective. And the next one's an interesting one. I know you got an opinion on it. Manchester City, they're 1 to 8 to beat Fulham, who are as big as 18 to 1, and you can get 35 to 4 about the draw.
Magic. Now, I like this, Brent. Having dropped a dead bat on the other ones, I'm coming dancing down the wicket here, and I'm going to knock this one right over your head and into the crowd for 6. Fulham are going to score. I'm convinced that Fulham will score. When you look at City, what City have done so far in their home games, 6-1 winners against Huddersfield, emphatic, but they conceded. 2-1 winners against Newcastle, less emphatic, let me down in terms of, like, I wanted them to score 3 or 4 goals for my bets to arrive, and they didn't actually come up with the goods. But 2 poor teams there, struggling teams, and even though City won both matches, they conceded. Now, Fulham seem to be finding their feet, hey? They put Burnley away 4-2, and then they scored 2 goals away at Brighton. I believe a game they probably should have won as well. So they're starting to find their feet in the top flight. And, yeah, you know, there's often both teams to score with City. They give you a chance, eh? They keep us dancing around and playing balls out to the, you know, the full-backs and the centre-backs that maybe, you know, a lot of teams wouldn't do. I think Fulham will pinch one somewhere, even if they get beat. But I reckon they'll be competitive, but Fulham will score.
Well, just to give you a price there, Manchester City clean sheet no, which effectively equates to Fulham scoring, is 17-20. Just to give you some of the goal prices. Obviously, City are expected to score a number of goals in this game. Over 3.5 goals as short as 13-20, and over 4.5 goals, 14-10. And if you do fancy Fulham to get on the board, then those are the sort of markets you'd probably be looking at as well. Just having a look at the live comments, Chris, Sean Bow agreeing that Fulham will score. And Oracle Rugby, well, typical fashion, this guy's not afraid to call a board bet, and he reckons Fulham can win the game.
You know what? I think I saw 20-1, Brent. I don't know whether that's still the case now. And I thought, no, if I put this up, I'll get slated. But yeah, City don't lose many home games, eh? And, well, they don't lose many away games either, for that matter. But maybe if there is a chance, you know, this international break, returning from that, Fulham, you know, got the momentum that they need. And I mean, they're on a hiding to nothing, really. I mean, everybody's expecting them to get walloped. You know what? For what Oracle's put up there, I reckon it's not the worst idea he's ever had.
Right. Well, Sean's coming in. Mitrovic, anytime scorer. Hope I pronounced that right. And yeah. Oracle reckon Gary's treble's certainly not a cert. But let's move on to one of the bigger games of the weekends, because it does involve one of the title challengers, Watford. And they're at home to Manchester United, who might be eyeing out a European place if they can show some improvement. And we got my team, Watford, here, Chris, 32-10 at home, 26-10 the draw. And Manchester United, 9-10 to win at Vicarage Road. I tell you what, the way Watford have been playing, it must just be a little bit of value in the Hornets here.
Well, I must admit, Brent, when we first started talking about football at the start of the season, I had Watford down as not necessarily relegation fodder, but relegation candidates, you know? And, I mean, they've been absolutely fantastic. I hadn't watched their first 3 matches, which they won, but I saw the home game against Spurs just prior to international break. And they were a goal down. I think Harry Kane scored definitely a goal down anyway. And the way that they came storming back, you know, and like you could see that they had Spurs rattled, and they got the 1 and then they got the 2. And I thought they were full value for the win. And you know, having been like, you know, thinking that they are more likely to end up in the Championship than sort of a mid-table finish in the Premier League. These guys, again, I reckon they're going to score against United. I think they're going to give them a hard time. Both teams to score for me.
Both teams to score. We'll get a price on that just now. Just to mention, we've got SA Betting Man. I really like that name. He goes Watford double chance. Now, of course, with United price at 9-10, you're pretty much looking Watford double chance around about the 9-10 mark. And I must admit, I'm not in disagreement with him there, because I'm also not sure that Manchester United have quite turned the corner yet. I have to see a bit more of them before I'm convinced they are themselves going to be title challengers. Obviously, I'm realistic. I know that Watford are not going to win the title. But, gee, it's great to have us out there. And all the time as a Watford supporter, I'm really just eyeing the magical 40-point mark. And the sooner we can get there, the better. I've got to say, Alistair Cohen, I'm going to mention you again. He's a horse racing commentator, teletrack presenter. He sort of tagged me on Twitter early on, and he said basically lump all your money on Watford to get relegated. This was before the season started, and of course every time Watford win another 3 points, I give him a nice little message on Twitter. There. This is
you know what you should do, Brent? If Watford beat Man U this weekend, you should drop him a tweet with like, Watford are the new Leicester.
Watford are the new Leicester. Get on. And just to give you, both teams to score is 8-10. So, yeah, that's a nice one. Also, perhaps one to add. I do agree with you. I think Watford at home will score. And I'd also be a little bit surprised if Watford kept a clean sheet. So we could get goals on both sides there. That is the late kickoff on Saturday, Chris. And it takes us onto Sunday's matches. We've got 2 games. Wolves against Burnley. Now, Oracle has taken a break from studying rugby form, and he's come out and said that Wolves are his best soccer bet of the weekend. I'm not sure what the best price is at the moment. I see 7 to 10. I think there's been money for Wolves. I must admit, I also like them a bit. They play against Burnley, who are 9 to 2. And Wolves, let's not forget, got a point against City not that long ago. Can they beat Burnley?
Yeah, they can. Definitely. They were great against City. They got a bit of luck with the goal. It was handball. It should have been chalked off. But their overall performance, I thought they deserved a draw. Last time out, I think they won away at West Ham as well. And again, a little bit like what I was saying about Fulham, they're finding their feet. Yeah, 7 to 10 is probably about right. A little bit on the short side for me. I don't, tend to dip too lower than 8 to 10. But maybe one for multiples. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to open the betting quickly. I'm not sharing the screen just because it takes a while to come back. But just having a look, let's get, because I know a guy like Oracle in rugby, he tends to go for the bolder play at a bigger price. So if he reckons Wolves can win, and I'm asking Oracle, and he can comment on this, what do you think about Wolves -1? So they've got to win by more than a goal. And that's a 2 to 1. So if you
definitely, even the goals markets, Brent, teams goal markets, Wolves to score twice, Wolves to score 3 times, something like that. Burnley have been awful. Hey, they've been conceding goals. I mean, for all they had a terrific season last time, they've been playing in Europe. That's caught up on them, and they're struggling down there. It's a really good time for Wolves to play Burnley and get a nice home win under the belts.
Well, I can tell you can get just shy of 7 to 2 that Wolves will still score 3 goals or more in the game. And although he's not on the show, I can picture Oracle nodding his head in front of his computer. I think he likes that one a lot. So you can have a look at the Wolves handicap. If the 7 to 10 is too short and you are bullish about Wolves, take a look at the handicap at close to 2 to 1 and just shy of 7 to 2. Otherwise, you've got Wolves to score 3 goals or more. It is a bet I like. I'm not saying I've ever placed it on a team like Wolves before, but that 3 goals or more for a team like Man City, and that I'm quite often involved in that. That brings us to the final match on Sunday. It's Everton up against West Ham United. Everton, they've been a little bit hit and miss, perhaps haven't delivered as I'd expect them to, but West Ham, Chris, are propping up the table. They did have a very tough start, but the fact is they're sitting on 4 games and 4 losses, and I don't think it's going to be easy to go to Goodison Park and get a result.
Yeah, West Ham haven't convinced me at all. In fact, they've been awful. And even when they lost to Liverpool 4-0 first week of the season, you would expect them to lose that game. But the manner of the defeat, the players looked like they wanted to be anywhere else other than there, And they fluffed their lines at home. They were awful at home last time. And I think they lost 3-1 at Arsenal, where they were a little bit brighter. If you fancy West Ham's going to score, to me, they've only got one guy that can find the net, and that's this Arnautovic. Again, another penalty taker, but also scores from open play as well. But he's up against Sunderland's finest Jordan Pickford in the Everton goal, So, I don't know. Everton win and clean sheet?
Yeah, that could be a good one. I would fancy probably Everton to win to none in this game. Let's just have a quick look if we can get a price on that one. Everton to win and a clean sheet. It takes me always go down to have a look at both teams to score here. And we got both teams to score at 13 to 10. Is that correct? Let me just check my computer jump. Both teams to score, at 13 to 20, and none or one scores at 11 to 10. So you're going to get Everton to win with a clean sheet. Will probably be quite a decent price there, given that, Chris.
Yeah, Everton 1-0, 2-0 for me.
Right, well, I'm going straight out here. Everton 21 to 20 to win the game. I think they're going to be too good for West Ham at home. Let's, Chris, before we get on to the PSL, just touch on Monday night's game. And that's Southampton up against Brighton. I haven't had a good look at this game, but we've got Southampton trading at 23 to 20, 9 to 4 the draw. And Brighton, who stunned Manchester United, but that was at home, of course, they're 11 to 4.
9 to 4 the draw. South Coast derby. There was a few derbies with Bournemouth as well, in it, are also down there on the South Coast. Not usually much in these South Coast derbies. Draw's always a runner. 9 to 4 the draw, say no more. 9
to 4 the draw. And if you had to narrow down then your best bet in the English Premier League?
That Fulham goal, mate. That Fulham goal.
Fulham goal, right. Manchester City, clean sheet, no, and that's at 17-20. It's Chris's best bet in the Premier League. Right, well, that's the EPL. Let's move on and chat a little bit of PSL now, because Chris, probably quite surprising to many people, you're actually a massive PSL fan. You watch a lot of PSL football, and you really love it. Your daughter's a massive Kaizer Chiefs fan, at least I think the one is. The other one might be a Pirates fan, am I right?
The other one's Pirates. Yeah, she's grown more into her rugby as she's got older, but she was Pirates originally. But the little one's mad for Kaizer Chiefs. Yeah. She's already stacked about 3 coaches in a short space of time.
Okay, I'm sure. Well, let's just have a look. I just want to touch on I haven't really looked at the betting for the PSL for a while. We've got Sundowns, and I'm just going to go through the top sort of 5 in the betting. And tell me at this stage of the season if anything jumps out to you. Sundowns 18-10, Pirates 7-2, Wits, who've made a very strong start, 5-1. Kaizer Chiefs, who I don't think have won a game in the league yet this season, at 6-1. And SuperSport, who have won their last 3 in a row. I'm quite puzzled to see 15-1, and then we got 18-1 Cape Town City. I won't go further than that. But anything there that you think may be a bit of value?
Price-wise, SuperSport. I'm not convinced that they're going to win it, but at 15-1, you can't get hurt at that price. They've reached the MTN 8 final as well. They lost the first league game and then won the next 3. Yeah, 15-1, you know, they're going to be top 4, and I could see it being fairly condensed. I still with Pirates, but 7-2, you know, the bookies are still sort of, you know, wary of Pirates at 7-2. I mean, they've been hit and miss. I think they're 7 points, 5 games. Yeah. 7 points is all they've taken. But to me, they're actually a better footballing side than Sundowns, and Sundowns has been the best. They're playing the best football in South Africa for many a season now. Well, Pirates is right up there, hey? They've just got to start finding the back of the net, and I think they're going to come with a run. But the pre-season price was 5-1, and I don't see too much incentive in topping up at 7-2.
Yeah, I agree with you there. If you're on the 5-1, rather sit on that. They've certainly shown nothing really to date, certainly in their results, that would suggest that you should be climbing in the 7-2 there. But let's run through the matches, starting off with Cape Town City against Chiefs. City 16-10 at home. Chiefs, well, the bookies always give them plenty of respect. They're just shy of 2-1, and you can get 2-1 the draw. 2-1
the draw. Chiefs have drawn 4 out of 5 in the league this season. Cape Town City solid in Cape Town, especially 0-0, 1-1 draw.
Yeah, I was going to say low scoring draw there. I was looking at one of the bookmakers, funny enough, for that, and I saw 2-1 the draw, and then I looked for the under 2.5 goals in the draw, and that was also quoted at 2-1. So I thought, well, I'm not going to take any chances. I'll just take the straight draw. There's no value in that. But yeah,
maybe 1-1. Maybe 1-1. Chiefs haven't been defending particularly well. Yeah, 1-1.
1-1 there. It's probably around about the 5-1 mark. Chipper United against Baraka Football Club. Very similar betting, except it's reversed. Here you've got the home team at just under 2-1. You've got just under 2-1 the draw, and you've got the away team slight favourites. That's Baraka at 16-10.
Chipper, bottom of the league, already changed coach. Eric Tinkler had 1 game just before the international break. They got beat 2-1 at SuperSport. First home game for him. At least he's had a couple of weeks now in the job and gets to know his players and things like that. There's really nothing that you could point towards the home win in terms of the form this season. But Baraka are awful on the road, hey? And I've just got a feeling that Chipper are better than what they've shown. 1 for the Brave, home win.
Home win here, 39-20. I'm sure if you shop around, you can get about a 2-1. Maritzburg United, who had an excellent home record last season, but haven't done too well at home this season. Well, they're at home to Wits. They're 26-10 for the win. You can get just over 2-1 the draw, and Wits are the favourites here at 20-20.
Yeah, probably Wits. I'd just be a little bit wary about taking too short a price, sorry. 2 to 3 goals in total for me. Maritzburg, again, that's got a decent track record in their home games over the last couple of seasons. And that covers a number of outcomes. You know, you got 1-1 running for you, 2-0 Wits. Yeah, 2 to 3 goals in total, probably 9-10. I
was going to say, do you get the same sort of, because I know obviously in the PSL, under 2.5 goals is quoted, generally speaking, shorter than in, for example, the English Premier League. But the 2 to 3 goals in total, that's pretty much the same.
Yeah, they're nearly always 9 to 10, unless you've got like what the bookies might consider a mismatch. Usually 9 to 10 for 2 to 3 goals in total. There has been more goals in the PSL this season. Now, I haven't got stats in front of me that I could actually quote you, but there's been more goals than what you'd normally get. And this first game back after international break. Maritzburg haven't played for a long time, hey? They got knocked out of MTN8 in the first round. I think they've only played 3 league games. Some teams have played 5. They could be rusty. I can see why Wits would have their supporters, but I prefer 2 to 3 goals in total.
2 to 3 goals in total at around the 9 to 10 mark. Oracles is making the point that the draw is always a runner in the PSL, and have to agree with him there. Every now and again, though, and it's normally when I get involved financially, you get a freak result like a 4-2 or something like that. But generally speaking, low-scoring draws are the way to look. Let's have a look. We've got Pirates at 12 to 10. They're at home, and this is a big game, especially in light of the fact that both of these teams are seen to be contenders for the title. They're playing against SuperSport at home, and you've got Pirates 12 to 10, 2 to 1 the draw, and 27 to 10 SuperSport.
Yeah, I sort of fancy Pirates, but not really at 12 to 10. These teams met in the MTN8 quarterfinal in Orlando, 2-2 at the beginning of the season. Pirates not convincing defensively, miss a lot of chances, but always good for a goal. And now that SuperSport's got like a head of steam up, both teams to score for me, Brent.
Both teams to score. Let's get you a quick price on that one, Chris. I imagine you're going to get better than even money on this, or somewhere close.
Maybe not with it being Pirates.
No, 8 to 10. The bookies actually fancy both teams to score. No, that's number 1.
A little bit short.
Yeah,
that's my thinking.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess the bookies they're also got an opinion on that one. I must say, I think there could be some value in SuperSport there. I haven't been that impressed with Pirates, and I think the 27 to 10 SuperSport, not that a bit like you with the 15 to 1 for the title, I think there could be some value in the price, but I'm not really confident at the same time. So I'll probably follow you on the both teams to score here, maybe throw it into a PSL multiple. Let's move on, though. Still on Saturday, it's Polokwane City up against Free State Stars. 15 to 10 Polokwane, 43 to 20 Stars, and just under 2 to 1 the draw.
Yeah, revert back to what you said. Well, you quoted Oracle there about the PSL. The draw's always a runner. If in doubt, go with the draw. And in this one, I would very much be in doubt. Home win, away win. I couldn't make a case for either side, in which case, let's go with a draw.
Yeah, I think you're going to, one way or another, if you back the draw, you're going to be a runner, I think, deep into the match. Talking of draws, I'm not mistaken, they've played 4 of them in their first 4 matches up in the PSL. Highlands Park at home to Arrows. The draw here also just under 2 to 1, and 29 to 20 Highlands and 43 to 20 Arrows.
Yeah, you've got to think, haven't you, that with Highlands, they've all these draws that they've had, but they've come in different ways. They drew 1-1 at Pirates, where they took the lead, goalkeeping error from Pirates, and then they held on while about, 15, 20 minutes to go. They were 2-0 up in a game that we backed them.
Yes,
they contrived to draw 2-2. It's almost like they're destined to finish all square. So yeah, if there's 2 to 1 available and Highlands Park's one of the teams playing, then I don't think you need to look too much further.
Well, Oracle's saying on the live chat, Canadian, that's 26 bets. So he's calling a draw in all of these games. Pirates, Chipper, Polokwane, Amazulu, and Leopards. And the fact that a Canadian won yesterday's stage of the Vuelta might just have me following the Oracle on that one. Not a bad tactic. The thing about a bet like that in the PSL, you may come short this weekend, but if you've got a bit of patience and you're prepared to hang it out, you're going to get a weekend in the PSL where we sort of 6 of the 8 games are draws.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely a runner. If you can't make your mind up on the teams look fairly closely matched, or they got a history of drawing. I mean, some teams last season, they drew half their league matches. If you can get 2 to 1, you're not doing bad at all.
Well, I must say, the one thing about a Canadian bet is don't be silly and go 1,000 Rand a leg or something like that, because you'll be in for 26 grand before you know what you're doing. Those bets can get
five selections, 5 selections, and it's what is it? Doubles, trebles, fourfolds,
trebles, flipping quads, the works, boy, everything in there. But a very exciting way to play. But you must keep your well, just make sure you know what your maximum loss is on bets like that. We've got the Black Leopards up against Bloemfontein Celtic. Celtic, I actually expected a bit of a struggle for them this season, Chris, but they really haven't been bad at all. And they're 16-10 to beat Leopards on the road.
I'm with you. I thought Celtic could really struggle. Steve Compella, I mean, he had a nightmare at Chiefs, and he went to Celtic, and maybe this is his game, you know, coaching sides that their aspirations are sort of mid-table, you know, and yet he's actually got them up there second place, I think, behind Wits. So he's done terrific. But I mean, when you hear this guy's post-match interviews and the comments that he comes out with, you think like, what can his players take from all this? But he seems to be working the oracle, shall we say? So good luck to him. Yeah, Leopards, not bad, man. I mean, the promoted sides, Highlands and Leopards, haven't done badly. You know, they haven't looked out of place back in the top flight. Yeah, let's go with a draw again.
Go with the draw game. Just seeing here, Sean Bowe, he's from PE. Of course, he'll be at the Kings game. He says he's going to take both teams to score in all of the PSL games. So based on that comment, I can only assume he started drinking halfway through the handicap show at some point.
There could be some nil-nils in there, Sean. You know, maybe what he wants to do is the Kings are playing Sunday, did I hear? I just caught the end of the handicap show.
Yes.
So Sean could go, he could cheer on Chipper at 2-1. I'm assuming they're playing in PE unless they've switched the match to East London or something like that. Chipper at 2-1, and then he's on to the Kings, which I heard that Oracle fancied, you know. So there's your Port Elizabeth double for the weekend.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. Final PSL match of the weekend then, Chris. It's Amazulu against ruling favourites, Mamelodi Sundowns. Sundowns are the favourites to win away at Amazulu. They're 11-10, 5-2 the draw, and the home side you can get at 22-10.
Amazulu's been pretty solid, hey? Normally I'd fancy Sundowns. They were terrific away from home last season. They were miles better away from home than what they were in Pretoria. 11-10 against Amazulu has not been bad. You know, it's about right. Now let's go with Sundowns quality. Away win. Away win.
Away win at 11-10, right?
1-0. 1-0.
1-0. Okay, well, while you're giving me your best bet, I'll quickly get you a price on the correct score there. 1-0. What is your best PSL bet of the weekend?
I would say probably Pirates Supersport, both teams to score. That would be the one I'd be strongest on. If I was talking value, Chipper.
Chipper United at just shy of 2-1. I can tell you your Sundowns 1-0 scoreline, not skyline. It is the favourite at 21-4, so a fraction over 5-1. That's not too bad for a Sunday interest.
I think I'd rather have the 1-0, you know, a smaller bet on a 1-0, a correct score, than I would on 11-10 to win outright, because Sundowns hasn't been scoring the goals that they ought to be, considering the talent that they've got. I think it'll be close, but yeah, Sundowns to edge it. But I'd say 1-0 would be, I'd be happy with that, Brent.
Excellent, Chris. Well, that brings us to the end of a good betting show. Plenty of football on, plenty of rugby on. We're going to have a great betting weekend. Of course, you and I are going to be watching the Vuelta as well. And I'm hoping that I can finish the Vuelta in the sort of form I've gone through. I'm actually nervous to bet now because you don't want to sort of, you don't want to almost ruin your record. But it's just been one of those Grand Tours that have really fallen into place. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. It's one of the best Grand Tours. And I'll probably, it's getting a bit late for everyone else, but I'll probably do a little solo preview on that one on YouTube as well. So look out for that later. And maybe we'll preview Saturday's stage tomorrow night. We'll
when you're in form, Brent, why not? Why not? And I must admit, I was absent without leave yesterday and for the chunk of today, but I believe that, was it 66-1 Woods yesterday?
Yes, I was on Woods at 66-1. I had Zakarin and him. That were my two bets. Zakarin with 50-1. Yeah. And as it happened, both of them went the break. Zakarin ended up coming fifth. But Woods, I mean, what an incredible climb to end off. And great. But anyway, here we go. You and I can talk about cycling all night, but we better wrap up the football show first. And first of all, thanks to all the guys who watched live. Thanks very much for the comments. Good to have you with us.
Yeah,
we'll definitely be doing a weekly show. We'll probably bring guests on occasion, but it's also quite nice just to have Chris run through the betting because he's done his homework on all of these games and could certainly share a lot of knowledge with us there. Chris, thanks very much. We'll see you on the other side of this. And thanks everyone for watching. You can subscribe to the show below this video and make sure you catch the other shows we did tonight. GG Gaming Gone Mad, episode 5, as well as the handicap rugby chat that matters.